if you could actually look through cyber glasses and see who's peering in your window, who's in your daughter's room, who's reading your daughter's blog, who's cyber stalking your son. It is reality, and the fact is that we have become very ignorant to those types of things because we can't see it.
And it's what parents often don't see that can have tragic consequences for kids online, according to Terry Schroeder, who is president of iSafe, an organization devoted to online safety.
Do you get the sense that parents are starting to understand how important this is?
I think parents have known that this has been around. It's just their attitude is, it doesn't happen in my house. It's not going to happen to my son or daughter.
iSafe travels the country warning parents and teens how not to become a victim of computer predators. What hits home, Schroeder says, is when teens learn just how often their peers are solicited for sex online by an adult.
There may be 300 kids sitting in that assembly, and we'll say, okay, every fifth one stand up. Look, there you go. You've seen it. You're the ones that are going to be approached by a predator.
And she says they begin to see just how vulnerable some of them have made themselves.
You can hear a pin drop when they start seeing the stories of others being hurt. And they start relating to it and they go, oh my gosh, I've done that. It could have been me.
Kids who have their own blogs on social networking sites like MySpace.com can be irresistible targets for predators. Teens need to know that more than just their friends are reading what they post. Just ask this guy.
Hey, how are you?
All right.
Why don't you have a seat on that stool right over there for me?
He's uncommon sense, too. You met him earlier in our investigation. He's here after making a date for sex with a 13-year-old girl, and he's brought along alcohol, a six-pack of Smirnoff Ice.
You check out the MySpace sites of young women?
I just, whatever's in the chat room, and I go to see the picture or whatever, and I click on it, and it goes to MySpace or something like that. Yeah.
There are, of course, numerous software programs available that alert parents when inappropriate information is shared on their computer. Some software will even alert the parent via email on a BlackBerry or at work. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to reminding kids that there are a lot of creeps in cyberspace. But if you're having trouble talking to your kids about all this, iSafe offers a step-by-step program to help. To access it, just go to iSafe.org.
It informs them, gives them tips that they can actually, be thinking about themselves, and then actually helps them in terms of how they would apply this in terms of their own real life or even within their own house.
Coming up, Chris Hansen joins us with your questions and comments.
As we mentioned, one of the men arrested after our investigation in California had been chatting with young girls on the popular teen website MySpace.com. Well, now police in Connecticut say as many as 7 teenage girls there may have been sexually assaulted by men they met on MySpace.com. Chris Hansen joins us now. Chris, more evidence of just how dangerous and how pervasive this problem is.
Stone, this shows now more than ever that parents need to know what their kids are doing on the internet. You need to tell your kids these bad guys are out there, and your kids need to know that if they're approached, it's okay for them to tell you. They won't be punished. Together you can work and go get these people reported to the police.
You've been blogging all night. What are you hearing from our viewers who have been watching and blogging with you?
Here's a great example. Chris, do you find any common thread among all these twisted men? It seems like they're old, young, men of the cloth, rich, poor, married, single, etc. What is the commonality other than sick, if any?
Good question, because it's a huge cross-section.
These men, as we've seen, come from all walks of life, all socioeconomic statuses. What they have in common is the internet, an addiction, a compulsion that visiting these kids will satisfy.
They just can't seem to help themselves.
Apparently not.
What else you got?
Another good example. Great. Glad to see the police are doing their jobs. Now, what about the court system? Are the judges and DAs going to plea bargain and get them off with a hand slap when they should be in prison for life? Thanks, Dateline and Chris. Great job. We're told by the deputy district attorney that each and every one of these men, even with a plea bargain, will do some jail or prison time. I can tell you, in the case of the teacher, just today he lost his certification to teach. In the case of the Homeland Security agent, within a day of being arrested, he was fired. So justice is coming swiftly.
Is entrapment going to be an issue, a claim in these cases?
I guarantee you a defense attorney is going to raise this. At the end of the day, probably not. The decoys are hit on by the predators, not vice versa.
You got one last one to share with us?
I do. If you could catch these many men in so short a time, how many do you suppose are out there? Also, are there women doing the same thing?
Good question.
The answer is we've done this 3 times. No women. They are not involved in this predatory crime.
Chris, great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Stone.
That's all for now. I'm Stone Phillips. For Ann Curry and all of us at NBC News, thanks for watching.